Hey y'all, it's Umi Genevieve, laced in space, constellations on LSD. Thanks for tuning in. You could have been anywhere else and you decided to be here with me. So always want to show gratitude, always want to show appreciation, always want to let you guys know that I'm glad that you're rocking out here with me. So I wanted to talk about the midlife crisis transits. And that happens in your late 30s as you move into your 40s. So it starts to peak for you at the age of 35. Now, I started to think about this because I'm 32 years old. I'm going to turn 33 in November. And I'm getting closer to that 35. Now, why is 35 important? Because at the age of 35, Saturn matures. I know we have our Saturn return as we go into 28. And then we fully finish as we come into 31. And that's why your 31st birthday is very powerful in your life. Each and every one of you can look back at your 31st birthday and realize why that was the real big Saturn return. And why coming out of it at 32 was that transit that helped you finalize. Now, I know you'll think that you're done, but you're not. You got 4 years to strap up your boots, get focused, because you got another transit that's about to shake up your world. A few of them. We have Saturn maturing at 35. And 35 is a tricky period for a lot of us. Even in the perfections chart, you're coming into your 12th, first house. So your 12th house is a house that can feel like other realms. Where you have to let go, unpack a lot of your conditionings, work on your shadow work. And then when you come into the first house at 36, you now change your identity, your look. You come into a state of redirection, a different approach. Powerful years in your life. And since Saturn is an ancestral energy, this can be a tricky thing for men. It's as if towards the mid to late 30s, men start to freak out, bug out. Even when I look back at my father and as he approached his mid 30s into his 40s, a lot of who he is as a man and how he felt as a father, it started to show. And where he even reverted into his own childlike demeanor. I remember one time he told us he don't know if he would have had kids. He don't know if he was ready. And that was in his 30s. I remember. I would have had to be cognitive and conscious of it. And for me to remember, I have to at least be of a certain age. So it would have had to be in his 30s for him to have said that. And I remember looking at him, and I'll never forget that look on his face, on how he was like, I just don't know, like, how to be a dad. I just don't know. And he told all of us that, all 4 of us. My mom was pissed that he told us that. She was like, why would your father tell you this? But I always remembered it, like, always. And now when I look at my partner and I see how he's like hitting walls with fatherhood and hitting walls with like how he feels as a man. He turns 36 this year. There's just something that happens during this time towards the masculine energy where they just break. Men experience a lot of like suicide rates at this time. And the same goes for women as well. It's a midlife crisis for us as well. Where we're trying to figure out our way, where we need to progress in life. And these are even periods where the collective starts to shame women if they don't have children, if they're not married. And these are even times where women start to consider their own paths and where they're at their finalizations in their life as they come into their late 30s, into 40s. Now the game is changing. We're becoming more aware, educated, when it comes to our longevity and just social constructs that have been fed to us to believe certain things based on our age. But it's still important in some capacity why the 30s, especially the mid-30s to 40s, is almost like a psychosis period for the collective, for humanity. Now you go through a few transits. We go to a Pluto square, a Neptune square, a Uranus opposition, and a Saturn opposition. And then we round out our 40s with our Chiron return. Few things go on in just a 10-year span. Back-to-back transits from 35 and on. You have your nodal return at 37, a big one. So from 35, every 2 years, you're getting hit with a transit. A few squares, oppositions, returns. I feel like they lied to us when they told us that the 30s was really it. Nah, it's the 40s. It's the 40s where you really got to catch a grip. It's the 40s where you start to see high divorce rates, women being fed up, men feeling they need to operate in some sort of risk-taking. Same with women, risk-taking. It's a crucial point in marriages, a breaking point in marriages. Them late 30s and them 40s. You start to really figure out who you are, what you about, what you made of. And let's go down them. We have Saturn that matures at 35 and why that becomes an important year for you in growing up. We have a nodal return that happens at 37. And the last time you had this nodal return was at 18 and a half. So 18 and a half years later, which you're returning to when it comes to this North Node return. We have a Pluto square Pluto at your 36 to 38 birthday. And Pluto's financial, your resources, all that you've saved up for. What do you finally want to buy? How are the markets going against you or working with you? Where do you now work with 8th house themes? Your sexuality, intimacy, your masculinity, your femininity. Where are you now really understanding relationships and how you integrate with others, connect with others, and connect with society? At 40 to 42, we have a Uranus opposed Uranus. A big one. Where do you feel now alienated in the world? Where do you feel like you want to escape? Go live on like an island and just be away from everybody. Too much noise. Where do you feel like you're the lone wolf, the lone soldier during these years? Where are you even trying to make your way back to society for maybe being in a period where you were hiding from society? This is a transit that asks you to face the world, face society. Can you? Do you want to? At 42 to 44, Neptune square Neptune. Neptune asks you about your faith, your beliefs, your philosophy. Neptune can put you in your 12th house, where it's time to really look at the elephants in the room, really look at the things that we that blindside us, that we know is in the corner of our eye, in our peripheral vision, that we'll continue to ignore, that we can't ignore any longer, that we must face, stand up to. Neptune square Neptune can be scary for some people, especially if they have to look at it from the hindsight, starting from that Pluto, square Pluto, at 37, 38. These are the times where we need people, but we don't know how we can really extend ourselves to asking people. We're grown now, we're full-blown adults. But we feel like we're reverting in some way, where everything is hitting us at once in these 10 years, in these years of being in our 40s. It gives me a whole new perspective on the adults, especially from the point of view of when I was a child. I would blame the adults, and I would just ask myself, why don't these adults know what the hell is going on? Why aren't they paying attention? Hello? And now I'm the adult. And I'm looking at life in a different way. It makes me understand my mother and my father and just a lot of these energies around me, these role models around me, and why, as I started to come into awareness, like in first grade, second grade, middle school, because these are the times where they're in their 30s and their 40s. And I would be judging them. And now I'm the adults that's getting judged. And I hope to integrate this into my life. I need to. So my daughter and my son gets here, they already have a manual to understand the game. Now, I ain't saying life is a game, but there is a game that's being played on this earth. There is a code. I'm not saying it's funny. And I'm not saying everybody's playing fair. But there is a code. Especially if those who are older. So those who are already in their 50s and their 60s. How if they knew that they would have more than 4 transits from their mid-30s to their 40s that would shake up their world, have them feeling like a yo-yo in a way, like they're going through like a seesaw back and forth. They would have prepared a little differently. They would have understood, or at least know better to do better in some capacity. So I share this to you all, and I hope it reaches someone that maybe needed to hear this. Right now, the generation that's being aspected is Uranus and Scorpio. Pluto in Scorpio. North Node in Aries. Neptune and Sagittarius. Good luck. Take care of yourself. I love y'all for real.